very disheartening to see Christians not take action when we can have say and sway in what happens with just the simple act of voting. It's crazy.
Amen. And that's why the left pours so much energy into stopping Christians and into freezing them and into making them feel not worthy to be part of the political process. And they manipulate our history in order to do that. And it's, this whole notion of this, quote, separation of church and state. The whole idea was so that the church wouldn't be run by the state. It never was looked at as keeping people of faith, keeping Christians from being outside of the public square. No, in fact, we're the ones who started the public square. It was in those church meeting rooms in New England where the whole idea of a Republican democracy came together. And it was because of the church, and in particular the Puritan experience of where they would work together in these city council rooms. That's really was the hotbed of what created and changed America. Because, we got far enough away from the king that we wanted to govern ourselves. And that distance gave us time in order for us to figure out how to do that. And the way we found how to do it was for us to have a franchise and to vote on issues. And it all started in those Puritan communities in New England. And so, the idea that people of faith wouldn't be involved in the public square would have been anathema to anything the founders thought about. And the First Amendment was intended to keep the government from governing churches, because we had the bad taste in our mouth from the European experience where you had, the Church of England, where, the king was the head of the church. He was in essence the Pope of the Church of England, and he would appoint the bishops and control everything in the Church of England. And so we didn't want that. We wanted our churches to be self-governing, congregational in their organization, and that's really what we adopted for our communities, and then for our states, and then later for our federal government. Much of that was animated by that Christian experience, but it was also animated, Jeremiah, by people that studied the book of Deuteronomy and looked carefully at the rules that God had given, because God created nations. He gave us a prototype of nations. When he pulled the land of Israel, or the people of Israel, out of Egypt and gave them a land, he was creating a prototype for a nation. And he gave them a culture, he gave them borders, and he gave them a place where they could be safe and secure. And that is really the prototype of the best way for us to govern ourselves. And that experience of reading and studying Deuteronomy was reflected in the documents that the founders gave us.